Hello everyone, it's Sarah, Painter Creator here. Hope you're having a lovely day. It's quite wet yet again here. I'm a little bit light sensitive today, so I can't have the overhead light on. So I'm hoping that this daylight is going to work for both of us, or all of us. Within it. So I'm going to just do a really simple landscape today. Let's have a look how big this offcut paper is. So it's 21 centimetres by 17.5 centimetres. Using my usual Creative Peak paper that I do for my everyday painting. Good quality for what it is. If you want to do some more fancy practice, then you need a bit more fancy paper, but it's good stuff. And then some Cotman watercolours. I've given them a spritz, so they've woken up. And my usual medium mop brushes. I love my mop brushes so much with it. So let's grab some paints and get going. I might just put my board over a little bit and then we can maybe see on this edge as to what we're doing. So wet my brush, and I'm going to start off with just some really watery cobalt blue with a touch of lavender in it and lots of water. So a really watery, purpley colour, just dropping in a little bit of purple lake just to purple it up a little bit, but as you can see, lots of water in there. I'm wanting a really sort of watery wash on my brush. That's a nice colour. So starting off nice and loose, just with the side of my mop brush. And then I'm going to just add a little bit more blue into this mix. I'm working on an angle of around about 20 degrees. I might actually add a little bit of turquoise into here as well. That might be quite good fun. Just to get that, let's get that bead of water going nicely. Just load up a little bit more at the top, a little bit darker. I'm just going to add a little bit of turquoise blue into here. Just for a little bit of a tone of sort of suggesting maybe back mountains or whatever, undergrowth or whatever goes with that. So wet my brush, and I'm just going to soften away some of these hard edges with a damp brush. So wet my brush, wash it, and then just take some of that away. So I get a sense of a little bit of clouds, and I've got some Alpine turquoise, which is like a greener turquoise rather than a bluer turquoise. Just going to add that into this section just for a bit of a cooler colour on this side. Like that, it's doing well. Okay, so let me think. let's just go for a little bit of indigo, I think, in this mix. A little bit of indigo. Just going to put on this first hill. I'm just going to wait a little bit until it gets a little bit drier, adding a little bit more purple lake into that. For a little bit of tone. So it's just being a bit patient, so that's just indigo. So I'm picking up where that dry bit was. Still maybe a little bit wet. Let me just smooth that into the background. I have to just be a little bit more patient. I'll come back to that. I'm just going to darken some back here into the wash. Add a little bit more of that turquoise. So I'm wanting to sort of build the idea that there is something here, but that potentially it's not going to affect that background. So still working all wet in wet really. So as this is wet, I'm going to go in with some indigo into this bit. Build up some sort of tree line. See the edges have started to dry. I might be able to go back into that in a little while. And I'm going to put some burnt umber into that indigo. Warm it up, it'll bring it forward a bit more. And start with maybe the idea that this is some houses and the foothills of some mountains. And they're just blobs, right? They are just blobs. Get a little bit more defined later on. Let's just put nice darks, indigo and raw umber. So burnt umber together, sorry. Head's still not great. Because I want this to be the shadow side, go with a bit more of this purple into that mix. Dark sort of shadow. Might just add a little bit of ultramarine blue just to make that sort of shadow colour. So a definite shadow side to that. So let's put some indigo back in. And a little bit of that purple lake, so it goes really nicely together. Let's try and do this distant mountain. You can see it's still a little bit damp, but it's a nice damp. I'm just going to drop in a little bit of Payne's Grey into that mix. So let's go for a bit of a mountain here as well. A little bit more purple into that mix. And then I'm just going to drop some burnt umber in. Maybe a little bit of burnt sienna just to warm it up a bit. Make it a little bit brighter as if the sun's hitting it. Trying some of those sort of villagey, woody sort of spaces. So we've got that sort of idea of a snow-filled space. So picking up a little bit of this blue that's on my palette. Plenty of water. I'm just going to start dropping some shadows across this space. Along. Just dropping a little bit more purple into that mix. And there's some a little bit of cerulean blue into there. So time to sort of darken some bits, so a bit thicker indigo and burnt sienna together for a nice warm dark. This reminds me of the times that I used to go skiing in Austria. Happy times when my body could do what it wanted to do. So a little bit of indigo and burnt sienna, just to darken some of these. Not sure about that run there. Might just drop a little bit more blue into it, bluey purple. And that's just literally just picked up off the top of here. A little bit dark. So I'm just going to pop a little bit more dark into this, so that's just a little bit of indigo. Thicker because it's a drying wash, so as long as my paint's thicker than what's already on there, I can add it in. Okay, I'm going to give that a dry and see how we're going. Okay, so here we are, we're dry. I've just got my little Winsor & Newton gouache. So I've got a damp brush, a little #1 brush. I'm just using it straight from the tube. So I'm just thinking, well, there'd be some snow on here. And a little bit of snow on some of these tops. So if I had the energy, I could have left all this to just have gaps in the page, but the reality is it's not one of those days, so my gouache is really helpful for that. So this is the mountain that I'm wanting to draw most attention to. I want to go down the path and up into that mountain, but I think I will pop some snow onto this one as well. I quite like using this sort of dry brush technique for putting in snow and things like that on. And on its side you can get that sort of sense of it being on ledges and edges of things rather than just always on so these I'm imagining are little houses, so less defined at this side. Maybe a little bit coming up here. Rubbing it with my finger just pushes it into the paper and it makes it less white because you're picking up a little bit of the pigment. And that'll do for me today. A nice, easy, fun little play with just a few colours and a bit of a longing for going up into the Alps and breathing the nice, fresh, crisp mountain air. So I hope you've had fun and that you maybe will give it a go. So until next time, see you soon. Bye bye.